Hello everyone, welcome to Barça News. It is August 18th, 2025, and today we're going to be talking about Hansi Flick's statements after the match against Mallorca because he was very upset with the players. Also, we're going to talk about the dispute between Barcelona and La Liga over the VIP. I don't know why that happened. But anyways, we're going to talk about the dispute between La Liga and Barcelona over the VIP seats. And finally, we're going to talk about Benjamin Pavard and how he's been offered to Barcelona. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Oh, I don't know why my intro got cut off. I'm still learning how to use my new software, so please bear with me. But welcome everyone to the channel. My name is Mo, and this is the Barça News Live podcast, which is on every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where not only we discuss Barcelona news, but we're also going to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments out loud, answering any questions, and getting that discussion going. For those of you who will be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through the discussion and get straight into the news. Having said all that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. If y'all looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure to Goal Kids, Kickback, or Fanatics. If y'all looking to place any sports bets, make sure to bet us. All links are down below in the description. You click on them, you get access to some pretty cool deals and offers. All right, let's begin with the news. And by the way, check it out. Let's go. My kit is finally here. It got here today. I literally received it like 5 minutes ago, and I said, I got to do my live with my kit. I'm very excited. It's the Black Mamba edition. As you can see, the Kobe logo. I don't know if you can see. Let me move my mic away. There you go. If you could see. Oh, wait. The crest is on this side. I don't know if you can see, but there's kind of like snake skin on it. Anyways, I'm very happy. It's Gabi's number 6. I already had Pedri. I had Frankie. So I guess I got to work on the rest of the midfield. I got to work on Fermin and Casado and Olmo, but one step at a time. Anyways, let's start with the news. And as always, the first segment of news combines multiple bits of news, starting with Barcelona's third kit. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it's expected that Barcelona will be announcing their third kit sometime this week. And of course, from previous pictures that we've already seen, it's going to be the orange kit. It's that Total 90 edition. It's orange with the blue frame, I guess, if you want to call it. I don't know what it's called. But it's the Total 90 edition. It looks like, Nike are going to be doing Total 90 kits for all of their elite teams. In other words, not only are they getting lazy with their designs, where they just keep recycling designs, but they're getting really lazy for designs for everybody, not just for Barcelona. So at least we can feel good about that, right? It's not just us, it's everyone else. Now, Memorabilia 1899, which is the Twitter account that always leaks these designs, has leaked a few more designs, which is pretty cool. Not just the kits, but also, for example, this training, I don't know what do you call it, pullover. Anyways, I really like this. It's a little bit pinkish, but I really like the logo. I like the blue. I like how the Barça on the back is in that circle, that Total 90 throwback. I really like that because I remember when I was a kid when the whole Total 90 lineup came out. The Ronaldinho ad, the Brazil squad ad. I think Total 90 was, I always wanted those shoes. I never was able to get them. I had the fake ones. I think they were called, I can't remember what they're called, but anyway, I had the fake ones, not the real ones. So I think this is really cool. And then check out this jacket. I really like the jacket, how most of it is blue with a little bit, I don't know if it's pink or salmon. I don't know what that color is. I like that too. I like the ball as well. I think that's pretty awesome. But anyways, that's pretty much the leaks that Memorabilia 1899 has released. And there's news about the third kit. Because even though it's expected to be officially released and announced this week, Barcelona are actually not going to be able to use it for this upcoming match against Levante. So most likely we're going to see Barcelona wear once again the third kit from last season, which is that green with white That reminds me of white cheese that's gone bad, the white cheese that's grown mold. That's what they're going to use this weekend. Now, we've been told why Barcelona had to use that third kit from last season during the match against Mallorca and why they're going to have to use it again this weekend against Levante. It seems like there's an application called Kit Selector where all clubs upload their kits to it at the beginning of the season. And then when you have a match against another team, the kit selector kind of does like this calculation of whether colors clash with the team that you're playing against colors. And it looks like all three kits from this season, the home kit, this amazing kit, and the orange one, the Total 91, all clash with Levante's home kit. So what's going to have to happen? Barcelona going to have to play with the third kit from last season, but that's the news. Green third kit this weekend, and of course the Total 90 kit should be getting released this week. Now, more news, and this is actually good news because, ladies and gentlemen, the certificate of completion of works for the Spotify Camp Nou is officially ready, and Barcelona have submitted it to the City Council, the City of Barcelona Council. Now, as you know, Barcelona are aiming to return to the Spotify Camp Nou by the September 14th weekend, which will be the first home match of the season. It will be the fourth fixture of the season against Valencia because the first three fixtures are all going to be away. Barcelona asked that all three fixtures be away. La Liga complied, so Barcelona can have more time to get the Spotify Camp Nou ready. So the fourth fixture, which is after the FIFA international break, will be our first home match. It's the match where Barcelona are aiming to return to the Spotify Camp Nou. And as you know, initially Barcelona were hoping to return by using the first two rings of the stadium, which has a capacity of 62,000 people. Those two rings are not going to be ready by that weekend. So Barcelona reached an agreement with the city where the city allowed Barcelona to return in phases to those two rings, where the first phase is only going to house 27,000 people. The second phase is going to be 45,000 people. And then the third phase will be the full 62,000 people, which will be the full two rings. And this was kind of like the city giving Barcelona a break where instead of saying either the two rings are ready or you don't get to play there, it's kind of like, all right, fine, they're not going to be ready. We'll let you go back to the sections that are ready. So by September 14th, the two sections are going to be ready is Gol Sud, which is the south of it's behind the south goal, and Tribuna, which is I think it's on the left side. Only those two sections will be ready by then. And of course, in order to be able to return to that, Barcelona need the the permit of occupancy, which is the permit that you get from the city that says, hey, this building is built up to code, it's passed inspection, blah, 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 and it's ready to actually welcome in customers, right? That goes for any business, any building. They need a certificate of occupancy. Now, in order to get the certificate of occupancy, first you have to submit the certificate of completion of works. That's a certificate signed by the construction company saying, hey, this building is ready. We built it, it's ready, it's good to go, here you go. And then the city, once they get that certificate, they inspect the construction, make sure everything's up to code, and if everything is good to go, then they issue the occupancy permit. So Barcelona have officially obtained the certificate of completion of works from Limac. That means that the construction company Limac has certified, saying, hey, we're done. Gol Sud and Tribuna are done. We've done all the work. It's complete. We're ready. So Barcelona have now submitted that certificate to the city, and now the city will go inspect, and then if everything goes well, Barcelona will get the permit of occupancy, and then hopefully we'll be able to return to the Camp Nou by September 14th. Again, only 27,000 people. And again, we still need to pass inspection. Just because the certificate of completion of work is ready doesn't mean that that's it. Now, we do have an imminent deadline in 10 days. We're on August 28th, where Barcelona have to notify UEFA which stadium we're going to be used. So by then, we should be really sure that the Spotify Camp Nou is going to be ready because we have to notify UEFA. Because if the Spotify Camp Nou is not ready, Barcelona are going to have to look for another stadium. Now, what's the alternative? The alternative would be, of course, the Olympic Stadium. If the Camp Nou is not ready by September 14th weekend, Barcelona will return to the Camp Nou, to the Olympic Stadium in Montjuic. But of course, the club are aiming to return to the Camp Nou. They do not want to go back to Montjuic. They want to play this season at the Camp Nou. And again, they have to notify UEFA by August 28th. And whatever stadium we tell UEFA we're going to be playing in, that's the stadium that you have to play in until the group stages are over. You cannot change stadiums halfway throughout the group stages. And the group stages are not going to end until January or February of next year. So hopefully by then, Barcelona will be sure that we're going to be returning to the Camp Nou so they can notify UEFA. Now, while Barcelona wait for the occupancy permit from the city, the stadium will be inspected once again by La Liga delegates and by UEFA delegates who are going to ensure that the stadium is ready for La Liga and, of course, the UEFA competitions. Now, the last bit of news is in regards to Barça Atletic, because Barça Atletic have been invited to an under-20 tournament in Brazil. It's going to be played at the Maracanã, where Barça Atletic is going to be playing against some of the big Brazilian clubs like Flamengo, etc., etc. Really good opportunity for Barça Atletic's players to, get exposure to other football, grow, develop, etc. And the news is that Hansi Flick has told Giuliano Belletti, the new coach for Barça Atletic, to please do not take the Fernandez cousins, Toni or Guille. Do not take Jofre Torrents, and do not take Dro. Flick wants all those 4 players to stay behind so they can continue training with the first team, and they can, of course, be available for selection to the first team, which, of course, it's a clear message that Flick has full trust in the abilities and skills of these 4 players, Dro, Jofre, Toni, and Guille Fernandez. All right, that is all for the first segment. Let's start with the comment section, and then we will talk about Hansi Flick's statements. All right, let's see what everybody is saying. Let me put on my glasses because I'm an old man. Wait, let me figure this out because I don't know where the comment section is. I mean, I can see it on my screen, but obviously that's not big enough. Maybe I definitely did not intend to do that. Again, this is new software, so please bear with me as I figure out how to view the comment section. This is really annoying because the only way I can see it is by looking at my screen, but those are really tiny. Also, I want to be able to select them, but I guess that's not happening either. All right, anyways. We'll do it. Let me see. Maybe if... I don't know. We're going to do it the old school way. We're just going to read off the YouTube app because, again, I'm still figuring this out. So please bear with me. I promise by Wednesday, I will have this whole thing figured out. I'm still figuring it out slowly, but don't worry. All right, let's see. What is everyone saying? Shin says, sup, bro, saw in OneFootball that the reason we wore our lime green kits on Saturday was because La Liga kit selector algorithm deemed both of Barca 25-26 kits as clashing. Same next week, too. Yes, correct. That's exactly what I talked about during the first segment. Also, King Flo says there's 21 people here. Come on, everyone. Give them all a like. Yes, please hit the like. It's actually now 238 people. If each of you give a like, that would be huge because the more the video gets a like or the a live gets a like, whatever, the more the YouTube algorithm will recommend it to people who've never seen the channel. So please hit the like button. It's completely free. It takes a second and helps the channel. Alexis says we're about to hear that because the second ring isn't open until later this year. VIP seats deal won't count towards one-on-one. No, I'll tell you what the problem is. Don't worry. That's not in the next segment, but the one after. Jason Matthias says, Mo, who is your favorite player on the team? I know you love Barcelona as a whole, but who's your favorite? Oh, man, that's difficult. That's difficult. I mean, obviously, Lamine Yamal is everyone's favorite. I think he's the best player in the whole world. But if I had to pick someone who's not, as obvious as Lamine, I would go with Pedri. I think Pedri. Pedri is absolutely magical. What he does on the field is absolutely magical. There's no like it. So underappreciated, right? Because everybody appreciates Lamine, right? We can all see his fancy dribbles and goals, etc. But the work that does Pedri is work that's very necessary. That's fundamental for the team. But it's not as appreciated because it's not the stuff that people want to see. It's not the flashy dribbles and it's not the crazy goals. It's more the build up. It's more the going back and recovering the ball. Pedri does it all, right? He pushes forward and helps with the build-up. He tracks back and helps with the defense. He does it all, right? And his work is so crucial. I think he's the most important player on the team, even though Lamine is the best player on the team. I think Pedri is the most important player on the team. And a lot of time his work goes unnoticed because, people want to see the dribbles, the goals. They don't want to see the other work that goes behind. That's why, for example, defenders hardly ever win Ballon d'Or, right? Even though they're very important, because people care more about the goals and the dribbles than they do about all the other work that gets you to that point where an attacker can dribble and score goals. Let's see. So yeah, I would pick Pedri. What else? Giuseppe says that third kit is so ugly, Mo, coming from someone who bought the neon green jersey. I'm not a fan. I do like the other gear, like the training gear and stuff. I'm not a huge fan. I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. Where I do hate the home kit a little bit more than the third kit. Again, I don't like either, but I gotta say I hate the home kit a little bit more. And of course, this one I absolutely love. I think Barca's away kits these last few seasons have been absolutely fire. Last season, the black one, fire. The one from, was it 2 seasons ago, the white one with the old school crest, fire. I mean, we've had some really great away kits. The home kits have been lagging, man. Have been lagging. I don't know what's going on. But anyways, King Fly Entertainment says, I love the way Mamba kit, but the third kit is fire. All right, we have someone who likes the third kit. Okay. And Shin says, forget the green kit, bring back the Señera kit. Yeah, absolutely. I have the one of the Señeras. I have the Señera, though, with the Blaugrana colors across that looks like a sash. I have the Luis Suarez one that literally I got that kit in that same summer Luis Suarez left. Before that, the last time I got Messi's kit, that's the summer he left. Then I got Frankie's kit, and that was the summer Alemania was trying to push him out. So after that, I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Am I behind this? Am I the jinx? But no, the jinx stopped. Because I have Pedri's, he hasn't left, thank God, and hopefully he never leaves. I have Lamine's, same thing. So I have Lewis, same thing. So hopefully not. Patrick says, let's hope for a Champions League final. Barca, Liverpool, right, Mo? I would want to see Barca, PSG. Even though I think Liverpool would be an easier team. Not easy, easier. For some reason, people just, a lot of times I get comments where I'm like, people don't really understand the difference between something like easier versus easy, or like it's like, all right, you could be 6'7". All right, let me put it in centimeters because we have a lot of people from out of the US. You could be 190 centimeters, and you can have your brother who's 195 centimeters. You're shorter than him, but you're still tall. And for some reason, people still don't understand this. Like they're like, "What do you mean? What do you mean easy? It's not going to be easy." I'm not saying easy, easier. That's different. It would be an incredibly difficult match, whether it's Liverpool or PSG, but Liverpool would be easier. Not easy, easier. I cannot stress that enough. For some reason, I always get comments like that. Like, what do you mean? It's like, oh my God. Why do I have to explain basic grammar to you? Or it's like, I shouldn't be doing this. Like, school system has definitely failed us. But anyways, on to the next bit of news, because we do have to talk about Hansi Dieter Flick, because the Barcelona coach was very upset after Barcelona's victory after Mallorca. Now, this is what the Blaugrana coach had to say after the win against Mallorca 0-3. It's positive to start with 3 points, but I can't say I'm completely satisfied. With 2 more men, we should have controlled the game more and created more chances. I didn't like the game. After a 2-0 deficit and 2 red cards, I think the team played at 50%, and I didn't like it. We could do better. Playing at 50 or 60% against 9 players is impossible. We have to play faster. We have to improve. Now, this is very, very important because it just goes to show how demanding Flick is, and this explains how Flick has been as successful as he is. It explains how he's been able to transform Barcelona from a team that was pretty sad to watch the last season under Xavi, to a complete winner, a champion, a team that won 3 trophies and almost made it to the final of the Champions League, right? This also explains how Flick has been able to extract the best out of all players, including Rafinha, who became Coutinho, and Ferran, who went from, please get him out of the club, to being a super sub, right? This explains it, because Flick is always looking for ways to improve. He's always looking for ways to grow, to improve, to get better, regardless of the result. And this is very important, because that's the mentality of a champion, who's never happy, or he might be happy, but is never complacent with what's going on. He's always looking to improve and grow, and that's how championship teams are built, by constantly looking to improve and by constantly chasing perfection. And this is a great example of that. And by the way, we've had plenty of examples of that last season, but this is a great example of that, because the team won. Not only did we win 0-3. Any coach could have said, we won, we got 3 points, 0-3. This is a great way to start the season. That's it. Let's go home, have dinner, take a shower, and go to sleep. But not Flick. He doesn't care that we won, doesn't care that we got the 3 points, doesn't care that it was 0-3. What he cares about is that the team did not play at its best. And that upsets him, because he understands something that's very important, and that's habits. Habits are very important, not just in life, but in sports as well. And habits only develop when you do them over and over again. And if you play with intensity every match, regardless of what kind of match it is, whether it's the Champions League final or the opening match in the Copa del Rey against a 4th division team, you have to play with intensity. Doesn't matter if you're up 5-0 or you're down 0-5. You have to play with intensity, because if you always do that, that's going to become a habit. And that's very important in football and, again, in life. When you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is brush your teeth. You don't think about it. You just do it. Why? Because it's a habit. You've done it so many times that now it's a habit. You don't think about it. And it's the same thing in sports. When you play with intensity every match, that becomes a habit, and you're always going to play with intensity, and therefore you're always going to win. But just like you can form a great habit, which is playing with intensity, you can also form bad habits. And if you start doing these things where you're like, I don't need to go 100%, I don't need to go 100%, next match, I don't need to go 100%, eventually that's going to become a habit. And finally, when you come across an opponent where you really need to go full intensity, guess what? You're not going to be able to, because you already formed that bad habit of just jogging and playing half-assed. This is why a lot of championship teams end up imploding, because they get used to winning and dominating for so long that then eventually they're like, we don't need to try, right? Because we're winners. We're so much better. So they start half-assing it. They start going 50%, 60%, and they keep doing it, and eventually it becomes a habit, and then eventually that all comes crashing down, because 50, 60% is not going to work all the time. It might work against some teams. It worked against Mallorca because they're an inferior team. They were 2 men down, but it's not always going to work. So Flick, very upset with the players, rightfully so, because he understands this very important concept of building habits. And this is the kind of coach that Barcelona needs, a coach that's always demanding the best. They're always looking for ways to improve, to grow, to get better, always chasing perfection, because that's how you build championship winning teams. You could have easily said, we won 3-0, 3 points, bye, we're good to go, good job everyone. But no, he wants to see his team play to their best, because Flick understands something I've talked about a lot, especially during that first season under Xabi. If you guys remember, I always said, winning is not all. It's also how you win. Because people say, what are you talking about, Mo? We won. What do you care? We won. I'm like, no. We played like shit. And when you play like shit, that eventually catches up with you. So winning is not all. How you win is also very important. And Flick understands that. And that's why Flick has been such a successful coach, not just with Barcelona, but with Bayern Munich as well. And I'm very, very happy that we have a coach that's like Flick. So thank you, Mr. Flick. And let's hope for a season full of more victories and more trophies. All right, let's get back to the comment section. And then we're going to talk about the VIP seats and also how Real Madrid are committing fraud. But are you surprised? Because I'm not. All right, let's see what everyone else is saying. Dexter says, why is La Liga always trying to hurt my Barca? So I'm fed up of La Liga. We wish my team was in another part of Europe. I think that has become a little bit of a scapegoat blaming La Liga on your problems. This is not a La Liga problem. I'm going to explain why. The rules are the rules. And Barcelona are aware of the rules. And if the rules don't suit us, doesn't mean that they're trying to hurt us. Okay? If you get pulled over speeding, it's not that the police are trying to hurt you. It's that, well, you were speeding and you broke the law. And we have a comment from Shin. All right, hold on. I think I know how to fix this. The intro song might play for a little bit. I apologize for that, but I think I can fix how the whole comments show. All right, here we go. Bear with me. All right, there we go. I think this will fix it. So I apologize about the intro just playing out of nowhere, but I'm pretty sure. Oh, wait a minute. I'm so stupid. I just figured it out. All right, here we go. Here we go. Oh, my God. I am so dumb. I didn't even need to play that intro for you. I am so dumb. Anyways, I figured it out. Here we go. Check this out. I can show the comments. Thank God. Oh, my God. I feel so stupid. All right, let's see. Shin says a couple of takeaways for our live on Saturday. 1, Lamine Yamal was 27 before 19. 2, I ordered a number 19 Yamal name set for my Señora kit on Sunday. And 3, Hansi Flick was head coach of Hoffenheim from 2000 to 2005. Thanks again. Okay, so if you guys don't know what Shin is talking about, by the way, Shin, thank you so much for your donation. But if you don't know what Shin is talking about, on Saturdays, every Saturday, there's the MoCast, which is the podcast exclusive for channel members only. And as part of the MoCast, I've introduced a new section where every week I'm going to have a channel member as a guest on the channel. Shin was the first member. He was the honorary first member that was a guest on the channel. So he was a guest. I got to interview him. We got to talk. We got to read the comment section together. It was really, really cool to meet Shin. It was really cool to put a face to the name since I always see him on all the lives. Huge supporter of the channel. You know, he was the first member of the channel. So thank you, Shin, for always supporting the channel. But we had a really cool guest session with Shin. If any of you want to watch the MoCast or want to be guests on the MoCast, you can become a member by hitting the join button on the home tab. But we were talking about Lamine. We couldn't remember the number he was before 19. Are you sure it was 27? I don't think it was 27, man. I think he was 30-something. Or was he 27? Hold on. Let me look it up. Lamine Yamal kit numbers. He has worn. Let me see if they got it on transfer. He has worn. Oh, my God. You are right. He did wear the 27. So I guess I have the 27. I have Lamine's kit. Yeah, I guess he wore the 27. You are right. All right. Wait, where did my stream lead go? There we go. All right. Oh, and you ordered the number 19. That's pretty cool. I like the Señoras. All the Señoras are really cool. And 3 Hansi Flick. Okay, see, I knew. See, the reason why we talk about Hoffenheim because Shin showed us his kit collection. I was going to say Kit showed us his Shin collection. Shin showed us his kit collection, and one of his kits was a Hoffenheim. And I was like, I think Flick coached there. I'm not sure, but okay. Thank you for confirming that. I knew he was somehow linked to Hoffenheim. So, okay. I'm glad I wasn't completely tripping. But thank you, my friend, for your comment and for your donation. And Kingy Flaw Entertainment says, honestly, my favorite player is Pau Cubarsí. I feel as though he doesn't get the credit he deserves. He's just like Lamine, but in defense. He started at 16 at man of the match in a Champions League. 100%. I 100% agree with you. I think Cubarsí is the Lamine Yamal of the defense. And I guess Pedri is the Lamine Yamal of the midfield, right? But yeah, you 100% agree. Cubarsí, I mean, he's generational talent, just like Lamine. Someone who debuted at such a young age, just like Lamine. Someone who came up through the academy, just like Lamine. Someone who's a step above everyone else, just like Lamine. But of course, like I said, you know, unfortunately, players like that, midfield, defense, they don't get the credit that they deserve because, you know, people want to see the flashy stuff, right? I'm not saying that Cubarsí doesn't get credit, but obviously, if you ask anyone who's, more popular or who's more known is going to be Lamine, right? Even though Kouarsi is just as great, just in a different position, right? It's kind of like UFC, right? People want to see that two fighters just punch the shit out of each other with blood flying everywhere. They don't want to see all the grappling, even though the grappling is a lot more intricate. But yeah, anyways, let's see. I'm glad I figured out this whole comment situation. Carlos says, what's up, Bo? How do you feel about Lamine last game? Trying to do much, like trying to pass every Mallorca player. I have a mixed feeling. So I talked a little bit about this during the live watch along. I said, yes, Lamine does have sometimes a little bit of problem as far as he gets a little bit too selfish. But you cannot blame Lamine. Actually, I'm not mad about it. I should say like this. Because his selfishness is what makes him Lamine, right? His ability to be able to dribble 4 or 5 players to score a goal is due to his skills and his selfishness, right? And players like that a lot of times are selfish, and that's what makes them that great. All right, let's, for example, think about one of the greatest goals that Messi ever scored, right? They call it the Encara Messi, right? That's the one where he grabs the ball in the midfield, dribbles past the whole team, and scores a goal, right? And the commentators like, Encara Messi, Encara Messi, Encara Messi, Encara Messi. That's why it became like famous, right? In that match, he could have passed it at any point. There was so many open players, and he could have passed it, but he did it. His selfishness made him continue dribbling and dribbling, even though he had plenty of passing options many different times, and he didn't. And he ends up scoring one of the greatest goals that we've seen. And it's kind of the same with Lamine, right? Yeah, sometimes you're like, man, he should have really passed it there. Man, he should have let it go a little bit earlier. But at the same time, it's like his selfishness is what allows him to do what he does. Now, it would be a problem if he didn't have the skill to back it up. If he's like, oh, trying to dribble everyone and then just constantly losing the ball. Like, can you imagine if Ferran tried to be that selfish? I mean, we would all be like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you cannot do that. You cannot back up your selfishness with your skills, right? And the same goes for anyone on the team, really. Like, Rafinha, even Rashford. Rashford might be able to take on 1 or 2, but not as many, right? So yeah, it is sometimes a little annoying, but at the same time, it's what makes Lamine, right? Kara King says, "Good night, Mo. That was funny as hell. You trying to get the comments and the intro finally pops up." Yeah, so I'm still figuring this out. This is a new software. It's gonna be the software for both the podcast and the watch-alongs and the post-match live analysis. I finally consolidated because once my StreamYard subscription expired. And I hated StreamYard so much, I ended up trying all these different software. So I was using one software for the podcast, another software for the watch-along. Now I've consolidated. This is going to be it. But I'm still figuring it out. I think I like it. It's a pretty cool software. You can build things in, like, the chat here on the left. Now you can see a live, the ticker down at the bottom right, where you can see how many people are watching, the subscribe button. It's going to allow me to have the scoreboard during matches. I like this, but I'm still figuring out. But I guess I figured it out. That was the only 2 things I needed to figure out was the comment section and my stupid intro that got cut halfway through. But anyways, let's do one more comment and then. By the way, I like how the comments are displayed, where it's not just the name of the person, the profile picture, and the comment as well. But let's do one more comment and then we'll go back to the next bit of news. But Dexter says, "Why is La Liga?" Oh wait. That one I already read. Sorry. Patrick says, "Let's hope for a Champions League final." Oh, wait. That's also I read. See, now I'm all thrown off because I had the whole comment situation. All right. Berkey says, "Hey, Mo, my bro. What's up? Yesterday was my birthday, and I had an awesome day. And I'm happy to see Barca, playing again and winning. The team will be much better as the season progresses. Visca Barça." Well, happy birthday, my friend. Everybody wish Berkey a happy birthday. Let us know what you did. Wait. Yesterday was Sunday. Okay, so that's actually a great day to have a birthday on Sunday when you're off. So happy birthday, my friend. Everybody wish Berkey a happy birthday. And with that, let's go back to the news because we do have to talk about the financial fair play because right now there is a problem or a dispute between Barcelona and La Liga. Now, what's the dispute? Well, the dispute is in regards to how to count the VIP seats, like what kind of income it is. Now, as you know by now, Barcelona sold rights to the VIP seats at the end of last year in December in order to try to register Pau Victor and Dani Olmo, because as always, Laporta just signs players with absolutely no plan on how to register them. So he did just exactly that last summer. We got lucky with Christensen's injury, but then of course that was only for half a season. So when the first half of the season was ending, he had to scramble, fly to. Oh wait, Berkey's comment, it still shows. Fly all the way to the Middle East and then sell rights to the VIP seats in exchange of 100 million euros. Now, once Barcelona finished this deal, they submitted all the paperwork to La Liga. La Liga said, okay, you made 100 million, great. You're back to the 1-1 rule. But then, a few weeks later, Barcelona's auditor, Crow, they made a report. They audited Barcelona's finances. They created a report saying, no, Barcelona cannot count as the 100 million euros as profit or as income because the seats are not built yet. So once Crow made that report and submitted to La Liga said, never mind, you're not under the 1-1 rule. Now, the VIP seats are finally built, and Barcelona are now trying to get the 100 million euros from the sale of those seats as revenue once again, because now they are built, right? Before they couldn't use it because it wasn't built. Now they're trying to use it because it is built, and that hopefully will get Barcelona to the 1-1 rule. Well, it seems that La Liga are disagreeing on how this revenue can count, because they're saying, no, you cannot count that revenue because you still haven't made it, right? The two investors who bought the rights to the seats haven't paid the full 100 million euros. But Barcelona's point is, yes, we can count it because even though we haven't made that money, it's projected income. Now, this was confirmed by the club itself. That was very surprising to me. Today, Xabi O'Callaghan, interesting name, Xabi Catalan O'Callaghan, Irish. I don't know, something happened there. But Xabi O'Callaghan today gave a press conference where he explained this discrepancy between Barcelona and La Liga. And I say it was surprising because so far as the 1-1, there has been hardly any transparency from the club. But this is what Xabi O'Callaghan had to say about the whole situation. Fair play depends on projected revenue. If you tell La Liga this year, I will generate this income, you haven't earned it yet. You're saying you will. And the interpretation of VIPC income, for example, is one thing for Barca and another for La Liga. That's why discrepancy and dispute lie. You have to play with the revenue, and if you consider it valid, including VIP seats, but La Liga does not, then you have a problem. That's why the board is also taking risks, because of our perception of revenue differs from La Liga's. You're already committed. So, Xabi O'Callaghan confirming again that there is a dispute between how Barcelona and La Liga interpret this VIP seat revenue. They're still in talks, and Barcelona hope to reach an agreement with La Liga will agree. Now, for the people who say, oh, La Liga just changing. Look, these are the rules. We know what the rules are. So if we know what the rules are, why aren't we not working under those rules? So it's not that La Liga keep moving the post. Those are the rules. It's kind of like with the Nike deal. They told us, oh, Nike deal will get us under the 1-1 rule. Barcelona signed the Nike deal, and we're still not under the 1-1 rule. Why? Because apparently the bonus that Nike paid, the signing bonus, was prorated. Instead of 120 mil all at once, it was 120 mil divided by the years of the contract, which is 10. So 12 million per year, not 120. And people were like, oh, La Liga. It's like, no, that has always been the case. When you get a bonus, it gets prorated. Just like when you pay a transfer fee for a player, that transfer fee does not hit your budget all at once. If you pay 60 million for Rafinha, those 60 million don't get subtracted from your budget. That would be very painful. Instead, it gets prorated. It gets divided by 5 years. So now you're only getting subtracted 12 million a year. That benefits the club. Same thing here. You get a bonus, it has to be prorated. It's just how any business in the world works, not just club football or football clubs. So this rule has always been there. We've always known about it. So why lie? So it's not that La Liga keeps moving the post. The club are very aware of these rules, but they don't plan. They improvise. When it works, great. Look at us. We're geniuses. And when it doesn't, oh, it's not our fault. It's La Liga's fault. So now, don't get me wrong. La Liga has some pretty shitty financial fair play rules. The worst in Europe. That's why so many clubs are struggling. That's why so many players keep leaving, because of Tebas' circus of rules. But those rules are known to the club, and we should be able to come up with a plan on how to work within those rules rather than continue to improvise. Because again, the VIP seats was a complete result of improvisation to begin with, right? We signed Olmo, we signed Pau Victor, even though La Liga clearly told us we couldn't register them. We still signed them. We came up with no plan on how to register them. We get lucky. Christensen gets injured. They get registered in his place. 5 months go by. All throughout the 5 months, no plan whatsoever on how to register them. And then when we're 2 weeks from the deadline, Laporta scrambles, flies to the Middle East, sell the rights to the seats. Guess what? It's still an improvisation because you're so desperate. You probably did it so fast you didn't even think about, oh, wait, this might still be a problem because it's not income you've made because the seats are not built. And that's what happens when you improvise. When you're just trying to go from one thing to the other, just like not thinking ahead, not planning ahead, this is exactly what happens. You're going to keep hitting hurdles. And this is why there's a big problem with Laporta and his board because they keep improvising. So it's not that I'm a Laporta hater or something. It's because look at where we are. We go from problem to problem to problem to problem. Why? Because there's no plan in place. If you can't see it at this point, it's not that I'm a hater. It's either you are blind or you are willfully ignorant and you don't want to see it. And if that's the case, that's your problem, not mine. So don't get mad at me just because you are too stubborn to see what clearly is right in front of you. Anyways, that is all for this. Now let's move on to the next segment of this, or the next chapter of this segment, because Real Madrid could be committing fraud when it comes to the registration of Mastantuono. Now, before we talk about Real Madrid, and the reason why we're talking about Real Madrid, even though it's the Barça channel, is because this is directly related to the registration of Rooney Bargi. Now, Rooney Bargi, as you know, was signed as a Barça Atletic player. There were kind of like three options when Barcelona signed this player. A, and it all depended on his performance in the preseason. A, Flick was, he's not too convincing. So they were going to let him play the full season with Barça Atletic. B, maybe he's a little convincing, not ready yet for the first team, but a little bit too advanced for Barça Atletic. So we'll send him on loan so he can grow and develop someone else. Or 3, maybe he is convincing, so he'll play with Barça Atletic and with the first team. Those were the 3 options where Barcelona signed Rooney Bargi. Well, it turns out Rooney Bargi was better than everyone expected. And it turns out that he was too good for Barça Atletic, too good to go on loan, and it looks like he has what it takes to be a first-team player. So now Barcelona are not considering loaning him, sending him to Barça Atletic. They want him on the first team and the first team only. So Barcelona contacted La Liga and said, hey, look, we have this guy. We signed him as a Barça Atletic player, but he's not going to be a Barça Atletic player. He's going to be playing with the first team because he is pretty good. And La Liga recommended, said, in that case, you should register him as a first-team player, which, of course, makes things a little bit more complicated for Barcelona. But Barcelona have decided to, okay, let's do that. And that's why, so far, they have not registered him with Barça Atletic. That's why he wasn't included in the squad list for Mallorca, because Barcelona still have to figure out first-team registrations, where they could have easily registered Bargi as a Barça Atletic player, and he could have been included in Mallorca. But instead, they want to register him as a first-team player. Now, Barcelona are also waiting to see what happens with Mastantuono, because Real Madrid have signed Mastantuono, and they have registered him as a Castilla player, or their B-team player, and given him the kit number 30. Now, Miguel Galan, who we've talked about a lot, he's a lawyer in Spain. He's the one suing Javier Tebas, has given us an explanation, a breakdown on why that is fraud, and this is why Barcelona so far are not registering Bargi as a Barça Athletic player, even though they signed him as a Barça Athletic player, because Article 126 of the Royal Spanish Football Federation regulation states the following. The affiliation or dependency relationship cannot serve as an instrument to circumvent the spirit of the regulatory provisions, nor for any purpose other than its own and specific nature. In other words, you cannot sign a first-team player and register him as your reserve team player, because that is, well, the second segment of this tells you what it is. Any agreement that contravenes the spirit shall be considered fraudulent and therefore null and void. So the regulations are clear. You cannot sign a first-team player and register him as a reserve team player, which is exactly what Real Madrid done. It's different that if you have a reserve team player who's good and he plays with your first team. Like sometimes we see where like Dro gets called up to the first team, or maybe the Fernandez Casas. That's different because those are Barça Athletic players. They play with Barça Athletic. They're registered with Barça Athletic, and even every now and then they play with the first team. But it's different than signing someone, register them as a reserve team when you have zero intention of them ever playing with the reserve team. Because let's not forget, Madrid paid 64 million euros for Mastantuono. You're telling me you paid 64 million euros for a reserve team signing? When have you ever in the history of football seen that? The answer is never, because no team pays 60 million to sign someone for their reserve team. Nobody. Why? Because Mastantuono is clearly a first team player, and they're trying to cheat the rules by registering him as a Castilla player. So the rules are clear. Real Madrid are in violation of this rule. They're committing fraud. Barcelona are now just waiting to see what happens there, to see, like, are we going to be able to do that or not? So for now, Bargi is on the way to be registered with the first team. Well, Real Madrid will see whether La Liga have balls, or the Royal Spanish Football Federation have balls to say something, whether they're just going to look the other way, just like they always do with Real Madrid's constant cheating and breaking of the rules. All right, let's get back to the comment section, and then we are going to talk about Benjamin Pavard. Oui, oui, monsieur. Je voudrais un croissant. All right, let's see. Let's click this button, and I can see the comments again. What's up? I'm figuring out this software. Let's go. Okay, let's see. I think we have a donation. Yes, we do. Shin again with his generous donation saying, whoa, where did it go? There we go. Per character lying on the side, raising his arm while saying, how's it going? Wait, per character line. I don't know. I don't think I know what you're saying. I'm sorry, man. Per character line on the side, raising his arms while saying, how's it going? Like this? I don't think I'm sure what you mean, but if you can explain it, I'll make sure to read your comment. My man Klaus, always in the comment section. I see you got a new profile picture. Looking fly. I like the black jacket. But Klaus says, happy birthday. He's, of course, referring to Berkey, whose birthday was yesterday. And Shin says, do a test to see if the new software allows you to finally see super stickers. Peep send you. Wait, was that a super sticker, the $5 one? And the software, instead of doing a super sticker, it just read what the image is? Oh, man. Does that mean the software also doesn't show super stickers? I'm going to be very upset now. All right, hold on. I can see it now because I got wait, right here. I got the stream. This is so weird. It's like Inception. You're watching me watching myself. All right, let's see. Oh, it is. It's a super sticker. There you go. It's a super sticker. It is a pair. It says, how's it going? That's a pretty cool pair. It has a 1970s headband. I love it. So that's why. So this software does not read super stickers either. Instead, it gives you what, the description of it. Damn it. Man, but thank you for the super sticker. That was a really cool one. Man, now it makes sense. I was like, what is he talking about? Pair character. Joe says, hey, Mo, seeing the way Barca is handling the registration is a real mess, even though La Liga has many issues with more than 150 players and register. Wish could be solved quickly and properly. I wish so too, my friend. Again, this is not to take away from La Liga's terrible rules. But at the same time, a club as big as Barcelona should know the rules and should know how to navigate them, even if they are shitty rules. To use small teams as an excuse, like, oh, look at Getafe, look at Levante. Yeah, but that's Getafe, Levante. Like, their full yearly budget is what Barcelona spend on, toilet paper. Those small teams cannot be an excuse for this board's incompetence. Carlos says, does Barca need to tell La Liga that Rooney will be playing in the first team? Can they just place him in Atletic and just call him up like Bernal? Well, I think Barcelona probably, because, Bernal is different, right? Bernal actually came up through the academy, and he worked his way up until he made it to the first team. So that's a little bit easier to justify. And reserve team players can play with the first team a certain amount of matches for like a full. I think they can play a full season and then they have to be registered at the first team. But Bargi was never a reserve team player, was never an academy player. So it's difficult. It's more difficult to justify that, right? Versus like Lamine, for example. Lamine came out through the academy and then he played the full season with the first team as an academy player, as a juvenil A player, and then the next season, by rules, you're obligated to register him as a first team player. So Barcelona registered him as a first team player. Same with Bernal, right? He comes up through the academy. Oh, he's so good, he could play a full season with the first team, and then has to be registered. Bargi was never came out through the academy, was never a reserve team. He was a signing. So if you register him with Barça Atletic, and then he plays the whole season with the first team, then they can open up the door of La Liga, accusing Barcelona of fraud. Because again, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to sign first team players. And you can't be like, oh, well, we actually signed him as a Barça Athletic player, but he impressed us. Because they'll be like, oh, yeah, okay. You know what I mean? So it's different. It's different, an academy player versus an actual signing, right? Oh, and we have another donation. Barca Volume says, look at the collab suit, man. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Send me a message oh, wait, Barca Volume, I've been talking to you. Miguel, my man, let's do it. Let's make it happen. Send me a message. Well, you already sent me a message through Instagram, but let's continue talking. Let's make the collab happen. I'm always down to do collabs. I love doing collabs. So, yes, let's make it happen. Thank you for your donation. Let's see. Fatuma says, does Barca need Pavard mode? That's a good comment. Why? Because that's a great time to transition into the next bit of news. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we do have to talk about Benjamin Pavard, the 29-year-old Inter Milan center back who can also play as a fullback. Because, ladies and gentlemen, his agent is who? Well, it's no other than Jorge Mendes, the infamous Jorge Mendes. Now, Jorge Mendes has offered Benjamin Pavard to Barcelona, seeing that Barcelona just lost one of their most important center backs, Iñigo Martinez. Come back, bro, please. I miss you. And Mendes doing what he does best. He came to Barcelona. I was like, hey, my guy wants to leave Inter Milan. Do you guys need to sign him? Now, the club have confirmed that Mendes has indeed offered Pavard to Barcelona, but what they have not confirmed 100% whether they're interested or not, but other sources say that Barcelona's number one priority right now is to register players. So I don't see Barcelona being interested in Benjamin Pavard right now, not because he's not good enough or they don't see him as a fit, but as I've told you many times before, every time Barcelona have been linked with a defender, I've always maintained the same position, and is that Barcelona already had a problem with overbooking in a center back position, and they wanted someone out. They needed someone out. The plan was to push Christensen out. Christensen said no, and then Iñigo ended up leaving. So now we're back to problem solved. We're down a center back, which is exactly what the club wanted because they had too many center backs. So I don't see Barcelona then going to sign another center back because now we're back to square one, which is we have one too many center backs. So I don't see Barcelona signing Pavard or anyone else because, again, we needed someone to leave and someone left. So why would we go sign someone else? It's kind of like, oh, we sold Pablo Torre to Mallorca because we had an overbook in the midfield, and then we go and sign another midfielder for the first team. That just wouldn't make sense. The second thing is Barcelona are struggling with registrations. They already started the season with half of their signings or half the players that are supposed to be registered unregistered, right? Garcia and Rashford were registered, but we still have Rooney Bargi, Wojciech Szczesny, and Gerard Martin who are still not registered. So the last thing we want to do is bring another player, and now instead of having to figure out how to register 3 players, now you have to figure out how to register 4 players. And Benjamin Pavard, given his high profile, he's not going to come to Barcelona earning Gerard Martin's salary. He's going to come to Barcelona expecting, a decent salary. Maybe not an incredibly high salary, but a decent salary, which, again, would only complicate things further for Barcelona. So, yes, Jorge Mendes has offered him, but no, for now, Barcelona not interested in signing anyone. Barcelona have until August 31st to register the remainder of the players, and right now, that's the number one priority is to register those players. All right, that is all the news for the podcast. I am doing more videos later today, But now, let's do more comments, and then we'll end the podcast, and then I'll go film for later. By the way, I didn't do any videos yesterday. I don't know if you guys noticed, but it's because I took the day off. I was very tired. I had been working like crazy. So I took the day off. I went to the beach. That's all I did. I laid under the sun and swam and took a nap. And it was an amazing day. And then I got home so late. It was like 10 p.m. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to shower, eat dinner, go to bed. I need a break. So I did. But don't worry, because after the podcast, I'm posting, I think, 2 videos. Not 1, but 2. And by the time you're done watching them and watching the podcast, you're going to be completely up to date. You're going to be caught up. You're going to be like, man, I'm an FC Barcelona expert. I know everything. Just kidding. All right. Snowman Dingo says, if Real is doing it, we should do it too. La Liga won't even blink. I don't know, man. We've seen the La Liga blink plenty of times and look the other way when Real Madrid does it, but definitely enforce the rules against the other 19 clubs. So I don't know if that's the best advice. Street Fighter says, Che, direi di Ferran per il Real Madrid è la stessa cosa con Ronnie. Yeah, I don't know what that says. I think it's Italian. P says, bring Bastoni instead. I always wanted him. I also like Samu. I don't think we need any defenders. That's the thing. And again, even if we need it, we can't even register the players we already have. The last thing we need is to go sign more players and then be in bigger trouble. Honestly, we should follow PSG, says Joel. Approach and only signing players younger than 27, unless if the player comes for free, that would be a waste of money and financial fair play. Well, the thing about PSG is they have, endless amount of money. They have no registration problems, so they have the luxury of doing whatever the hell they want, right? With Barcelona, we have to follow a different approach. Either try to sign players who are free agents or players who are very cheap, because unfortunately, our finances are different. So, it would be cool to just say anyone younger than 27, but what if you get a 28, 29-year-old player who's a free agent? Like Inigo, for example. He was, 32, 31 when we signed him. He was a free agent. You cannot pass up that opportunity because, you don't have money or financial fair play. So, unfortunately, we're not there yet where we can implement certain policies, right? We first have to get better financially, and then we can, implement whatever rules we want to implement. And Sanjog with the donation says, love that jersey, Mo. I really wanted the black pre-match away shirt. Couldn't find it anywhere. The last match showed we missed a quality forward. I think last match, I don't think it was a problem with the forward. I think it was just a full team build-up problem where either the team was having a hard time because Mallorca players became a little bit too disruptive, where they constantly were trying to disrupt the flow of the match, fouls, wasting time, etc. Or the team overall was just I can't even speak anymore. Was not trying anymore. So I think that was more of a problem with the team's attack. Because when a team wanted to, they generate chances. There were plenty, and there was a lot of wasted chances too. But when a team wanted to, they generated chances. But I think a lot of times it was either Mallorca disrupting the match, flow of the match, or the players just not trying to do much. Shin says, forgot to tell you, seeing a Black Mamba kit on you make me excited to receive. Come on, September. To receive mine. Come on, September. Man, it's a beautiful kit. It really is a beautiful kit. Check it out. Maybe if I get up a little bit. Oh. By the way, see this Spotify logo? Hold on. Let me move this. So, see how the lines are like sideways? They're not straight. So I was like freaking out. I was like, is this logo backwards? Or not backwards, sorry, sideways? And I'm like taking pictures. I'm sending it to my friends. I was like, what the hell is going on with this logo? Why is it tilted? And then one of my friends screenshots the Spotify app on his phone. He's like, no, bro, that's how the logo looks like. And I was like, oh, I felt so stupid because I was like, why are the lines tilted? But apparently that's how the Spotify logo is. The lines are tilted. I was freaking out. I was like, did they miss out my kit? What the hell? I waited so long for this. But yeah, The Matrix says, I would rather we wait and go for a proper defender next season. I agree. I agree with that. 100%. Let's see. Carlos says, don't count Deco out on signing center back. He already did it with midfielders when we had plenty. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I mean, we didn't need Olmo, and he went and signed one. It's like, hey, we can't sign Nico Williams, so we gotta sign someone. Oh, here's a great idea. What's the busiest position we have? Oh, the midfield. Cool, let's go sign a midfielder. That sounds like a great idea. Also, don't discount Mendes out. I'm going to make a video about this, but a report has come out showing that most of the exits that Barcelona have done have not been Deco's work, have been Jorge Mendes' work. And that's concerning because Jorge Mendes does not work for free. He always works for favors. So let's hope he doesn't come cashing out and said, well, you guys owe me a bunch of favors, so you better sign Pavard. Gonna make a video about that with more details. It's coming. The Matrix says it seems like we have no proper plan when we go in for defenders. Honestly, it seems like we have no proper plan most of the time, period. Fatuma says, how much did you buy the jersey? I'd rather not say because it was too much. Let's put it that way. This is the Players Edition, not the like fan edition, whatever the hell they're called. So it comes. So the reason why I went for this edition because with this edition, you see the snake skin on the kit on the. It has the snake skin on the crest. It has the snake skin on the Spotify logo, and it has the snake skin on the Kobe logo. And you know, this is like it's like a pattern, right? It's kind of like feels like engraved. It was too much. It was too much. But no regrets. I look at it this way. A, I love the kit. And B, it's money that goes towards the club. And that's, you know, my way of supporting the club. Mike says, that's very interesting. I noticed how only players who are represented by certain agents get signed by Barcelona. Something fishy is going on. Oh, yeah. It's all favors. It's all favors. There's a reason why Pini Zahavi is always having lunch with Laporta. It's all about favors. That's how this board operates. And it's not good. It's not good. But Mo, you're just a hater. Laporta's the greatest president ever. He can do no wrong. He turns white water into wine and he heals leopards and he's the best. Let's see. Edward says, Lamine selfish. He's got a ton of assists. Rafinha feeds off Lamine assist. What he's talking about is not like always, but there were several plays against Mallorca where he could have and should have released the ball before, and he didn't. But again, like I said, I'm not gonna blame him for it because that's what makes Lamine, right? Shin says, bet you $10 my replica will have a snakeskin club badge. Oh man, if that's the case, I'm gonna be so mad because I spent a lot of money on this kit. But as far as I know, no, the replicas don't have the snakeskin. But I mean, if you did find one, maybe I'll just return this and go get the replica. No, I can't. I already wore it. I already took the tags off. By the way, I'm gonna share this cool thing with you guys. Hold on. Let me see if I can reach out. Sorry about that. All right, let's see. I'm going to share this cool thing. You probably guys don't even care. You're like, why are you showing us this, Mo? I don't give a shit. But I thought it was pretty cool. Someone got me this gift today. It's an M&M tub. But that's not the cool thing. The cool thing is that is my dog on the M&M. Every single M&M in that tub has a picture of my dog. And I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool. So I wanted to share that with you guys. But anyways, that's it. That's all the news, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for bearing with me as I was figuring out my software. Don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment. I will see you guys in the videos. I'm posting 2 more videos. So I'll see you guys in those videos. And I think that's it. That's all I got to say. Again, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always,